Avid Shabbos. I just want to tell you guys before we start that there's something wrong with my throat. I don't know what's wrong with it, but Mirza Hashem, it won't be scratchy. And number two, you guys are wondering, what's my background, Jack? What is it? It's the holy city of Piezezna. It's the Piezezna, right here. I don't know when this picture was taken. I searched up Piezezna in Poland, and this is what came up. And it's just so obvious that the one picture that came up, or there was a couple. I'm not going to say this is the only one that came up. It's the holy sunset. Mamish, the sun radiating throughout the whole world from the holy town, city of Piezezna. Bezrat Hashem. A quick tefillah before we start from Rav Nassan. Just a reminder before we say this tefillah that whatever Torah we should be learning or that we are learning, after we should turn it into our own tefillah. Daven for it. Daven that you should be able to understand the depths of it. Daven that you should be able to live the Torah. Daven that you should be able to elaborate from the Torah. There's so much. So it's just a reminder for myself and for you guys to do that. And so Rav Nassan says about Shabbos, let me return to you, Ribbonai Sha'olam, with all my heart and constantly rise from level to level with ever greater holiness, just as you desire, until I will ascend and become merged in the supreme Shabbos. Bezrat Hashem Kavra. It's a little tefillah. We're continuing.
Thank you.
We're continuing our journey talking about bad influences. This is part 2. If you wanted to search up part 1, we did it last night. So we're continuing. The worst of all obstacles is the confusion caused by other people. Right? We discussed this last night. Right? Our Yetzer Hara is very strong. But we're also surrounded by hundreds and millions of Yetzer Haras. Both objects and actual people. You yourself may personally know certain individuals who act as self-appointed experts in philosophy or use science to mock at everything holy. Right, so we may have some chevre chas v'shalom that might look at Yiddishkeit and be like, it's a weird thing to do. You look weird. It's weird that you go and daven. It's weird that you go and learn. It's weird that you keep Shabbos. And those chevra might try proving everything wrong. This is the reason why Shabbos doesn't actually exist. This is the reason why secular studies are more important than Jewish studies. They could give you reasons. Such sophistry can be extremely confusing to others, as it is taught that all values are relative and therefore everything is permitted. This can be so confusing, right? All we want to do at our essence is come closer to Ribbonai Sha'olam, come closer to Shabbos, come closer to other people, come closer to the Beit HaMikdash. I mean, we see every single day Samson's background. He just wants to come closer. And it's chaval that people try bringing those type of people that just want to come closer. They bring them down. They bring them down. They distance us. For what? I mean, it's clear that there's a reason why there's those people in the world. Oh my gosh, I love your shirt, Samson. It's a Gavaldic shirt. I have to pick one up. It's Gavaldic. Right? It's not random that we're dealing with these people. It's not random that they're in the world. We have to know that, right? So ideally, we should get to a place where everyone is mamish keeping Shabbos. where everyone is learning. Everyone's trying to be Dveikus Hashem. Everyone's as that Avat Yisrael, no matter what level one is on. Where everyone has complete anava. Right? Mir Hashem. We should get to that point. We should get to that place. But in reality, there are people out there that are doubters. They're philosophers. There are others who may appear to be observant, yet display a certain sophisticated cynicism that can be quite as harmful as philosophy, if not worse. This is the craziest line in the world. Right? We might look at someone who's keeping, I guess, observing Shabbos, observing the mitzvos, but he's doing it in a way where it can be worse than a philosopher, can be more harmful because of that person's sophisticated cynicism towards what he's doing. Most Jews are aware of the dangers of philosophy and avoid it. Knowing that it can pull them down in the deepest pit, however, there are many who are not on their guard against the kind of sophisticated cynicism that emanates from the mouths of people who seem to be observant and disguise their message in the language of truth, as if they're in possession of the absolute truth. Oh my gosh. This is the craziest thing in the world. The craziest thing in the world. Let's just retract for a second. It's crazy, right? So people are aware of this. People are aware that there's those cynicism, those people who are opposed to Yiddishkeit, who show a lot of cynicism towards it, a lot of I guess sophistication in the wrong way, and they know how to avoid themselves from those people. They know how to take the necessary steps to literally make a force field around them wherever they are. Wherever they are. I got a voice note from a holy friend of mine just moments ago. He's walking, maybe it was Maariv, I don't know where he was walking to, and he just said, Mamish, for 3 straight minutes, in shum yeush ba'olam klal. 3 straight minutes. That person is aware. He's making a force field around himself. Right? And by the way, this is all potential. Right? So I don't know if that person was walking through the shuk or one of these places where you have millions of people and millions of unholy sites, right? Or he could have just been walking in the middle of the street, a dark street alone. But the fact that he was doing that on a maybe, I don't know where he was, alone in a street, it was dark out. It's the holiest thing in the world, preventing himself from what could be. But then you have people who are unaware, who get lost in the sauce, who get lost when they're around chevra, who are mamish disguised, chas v'shalom, who are deceivers, who are making it seem like what you're doing is the wrong way, is the wrong direction. Chevra, we can't fall in that trap. These are the ones who can cause the most harm, confusing a person, holding him back from true service of God. So Rabbi Nachman is saying that these people who disguise themselves as the people who hold the MS, right? The people who are observing l'chaim, who are observing the mitzvos in a very sophisticated there's another word for it. Getting lost. L'chaim. By the way, I'm just going to go on a tangent right now. Someone once told me people who say l'chaims 1,000,000 times while they're saying a nice vort, this means they're losing track of what they're saying. Chas v'shalom. That shouldn't be the case for anyone who's saying l'chaim. But in this case, it's applying to me. It's applying to me. No, really, I just can't find the word. But Gewalt. Rabbi Nachman is saying those people can cause more harm than actual philosophers. The people who are actually practicing Yiddishkeit, who are disguising themselves. By the way, we have to learn this Torah inside, and we have to do Chazara and learn all the sources surrounding it. I have to know more about the people who are actually observing the mitzvos. Rabbi Nachman is mentioning the cynicism and the sophistication, right? So maybe that's what he's pointing out. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Rabbi Nachman concludes. Sorry, this is a little long. Happy is the man who walks the path of truth without any kind of sophistication, a person who is simple and upright, fears God and shuns evil. Rabbi Nachman, we all know the Torah. Oh, Gewalt. We all know the Torah. Rabbi Nachman says that he would rather a believer who believes in everything and someone who's mamash the smartest of the smart, so sophisticated, and he shows a lot of cynicism. There's another word. The word is not flowing, but maybe this is what he's going at right now. We mamash just have to be believers. We have to avoid ourselves against evil. By the way, it looks so simple, but it could be so hard. So the more times we remind ourselves of the Im Shum Yehush when we're walking down a dark road or we're walking in the shuk, the more times we remind ourselves of the Rebbeinu Shalom that He runs the world every second, the more we won't be susceptible to these traps, to these people. So Bezrat Hashem, Chavra, questions, comments, please feel free.
I
have no comments, but I think that obviously like there's so much truth to what you said, and I also just think that like it really matters about the environment that you're placed in, and ultimately just having that like confidence that like everything really is minas shamayim, and that like when you have the mentality and you have that mindset like you were talking about, like your friend who was singing in the street, you're always going to feel like that divine presence around you. Like there's never going to be a time where you're like, no, it's not true, or it's not Hashem, or like you're never going to get, I mean, I shouldn't say never, but it's going to be harder to be swayed in the opposite direction when you know that like the Shekhinah is like mamash around you all the time. And like my dad, this is something that like I really am so inspired by him, because he comes home from work and I'm like, Dad, how was your day? And he goes, thank God, like God made it possible for me to close the case. Or like, thank God this happened. Or like, it wasn't good, but like Hashem has my back. And I'm telling you, just growing up in a home with like that response to really everything, the good or the bad, it's very hard for me personally to see otherwise. Despite a challenge or a positive environment that I'm in, I really always like have that just like ground, like that foundation of like, all right, God has my back. I love what you said, always. Really, really good.
If that wasn't a comment, then I don't know what is.
I also just want to say, Jack, before you said that that's Piezezna, it's like a sunset in Piezezna. So my chavrutz and I have been learning for like the last almost 4 years a book by the Piezezna rebbe. He's my favorite rebbe ever. We've been learning Tzaddik, and I highly recommend. It's powerful, very powerful. Changed my life, truthfully.
The people who are on right now and the people who are watching are getting really excited.
It's the deepest.
You keep talking if you want.
No, I forgot that this is recorded.
Keep going.
No problem. That was it. So thank you so much again for dedicating time every single day to do this and being so consistent. It's really inspiring.
Baruch Hashem for you guys. You know, I was telling Leora before, it's like at this point it's it's really just Hashem guiding us, right? Like, I don't know why we're here together in 917. We're running around all day and like we find time together, right? Like Samson's at the Beit HaMikdash right now. Leora was just running around. I'm in Piezezna, and we're finding time. We're finding time. Hashem is really giving us the strength. So thank you. Well,
All right, everyone muted themselves, so I guess I'll go. So when you're speaking, and now since you spoke Leora, I was visiting Rav David Weinberg yesterday, and he told me an amazing Torah from this week's parsha that is very connected to what Jack was speaking of tonight, of the people that might tend to say to themselves, I'm thinking about it, I'm philosophizing about it, if that's even a word, and therefore I understand it and I'm above this. So it says in this week's parsha, the first pasuk, it's Parshat Ekev, it says, V'haya Ekev tishme'un et hamishpatim ha'ela v'shamartem v'asitim otam. Right? And when you shall heed and you shall heed and listen to these laws, and you shall guard them and do them. So Rav Dovro asks, why does the Torah use the language of mishpatim? Because there are two other types, as we know, of mitzvot. There's mishpatim. There are three types total. There's mishpatim, there's edut, and there's chukim. And we know that mishpatim are the logical mitzvot that are given to us, like don't steal, don't kill. Those are mishpatim. And we can come to those of our own volition, of our own mind, of our own thinking. While edut are mitzvot that are based on the Torah, like let's say Sukkot and our Chagim, that we would only get to these mitzvot because of what happened through the Torah. While chukim, as we all know, are mitzvot that we have no possibility of understanding, like the paraduma and shatnez and other mitzvot like that. So Rav David asks, why does the Torah use the lashon of mishpatim? So he says like this: V'haya kev tishme'un et mishpatim. When you begin to listen to the mitzvot, and you begin to realize that you get to a level where you're doing so much thinking and so much understanding that all the mitzvot all of a sudden become like mishpatim, become like they're logical, and become like you understand everything. So much to the point where a person, as Jack said, can get to the point of saying, okay, I'm above this mitzvah. At one point in time, they didn't understand how to properly do this separation between wool and linen, but now I understand it, so I don't have to follow that law. That's making a chok, a mishpat, right? You're saying to yourself, some people say this, at one point they didn't understand the difference between a rice flour and wheat flour, so they did kitniot. They made kitniot. They said no, but now I understand. Now I know the difference. I just have to say I do eat kitniot for medical reasons, but for everyone their own. Just had to put it out, because I don't want to offend anyone here.
Gavaldic Doritos.
Doritos are gavaldic. But so when the Torah is saying to us a warning, even when you get to the point that you've made all my mitzvot, all my commandments into mishpatim, you brought them down to a state where you can understand them logically, and you've even come to the point to say to yourself, wait, I understand this so well that I don't really need to keep it. I know it's not like so important. Tishmeru ushmartem v'asitim otam. You should do them. You should guard them, and you should do them. It's not enough it doesn't work. You can't bring down everything to a logical level and say, I'm not going to do it anymore. You have to keep doing it. So he brought this, he continued in saying that how does one bring them down to a logical level? How does one bring the deepest secrets, right? Because to understand the chok, to understand an edut, you have to know deep Torah. You brought it down from the highest level until the lowest. So he says the only way that that's possible is ushamartem v'asitim otam, is by knowing like before you even started indulging in the Torah, indulging in this philosophy and trying to go deeper into the Torah, is by you saying to yourself, even if I find the true meaning, I would do it anyway. And even if I don't, I'm going to do it anyway. So how do I connect it to what you said tonight, Jack? It's that we say we can go into the deep reasoning and philosophy of the mitzvot and the Torah, but our initial effort into Torah and mitzvot needs to be I'm going to do it anyway, even if I don't understand it, even if I do. And when I get to the deepest level, when I get to the not even the deepest, when I realize that, oh, I can understand this logically, and I come to the point to say to myself, oh, I understand this logically, and it doesn't make sense. I don't need to really do it. Hashem doesn't really want me to do it, or I don't really want myself to do it. I need to say to myself, wait a minute. Shamartem v'asitem otam. I guarded it, and I'm going to do it anyway. Okay? I understand it according to my limited knowledge. I've gone through the pill pool. I've done the philosophy. I've done the research. I've done the personal thinking. I've done the hidbodedut even. Now I've come to understand it, and I'm not going to do it. No, chas v'shalom v'shamartem v'asitem otam. Rabbi Nachman and Rav Dovra are telling us, I can't believe I said it in the same sentence, that going into the philosophies of things can cause us to come to a point of not wanting to perform mitzvah because we use our minds to explain. But as we know, we can't allow our minds to do everything, because we know that when you say Kriyat Shema and other mitzvot like that, it's not enough to just think about Kriyat Shema. You need to say it with your lips. And it's not enough to think about giving tzedakah. You need to give it with your hand. And it's not enough to cook soup for someone who's sick. To think about cooking soup for someone who's sick. You need to give it to them. Shamartem v'asitem otam. And this connects to what Lior was saying, that it's the emunah pshuta, the base of all our existence, saying to ourselves, I know for a fact that Hashem has my back, and I'm going to keep these mitzvot, because ushamartem v'asitem otam. Shall surely do it. V'shamar Hashem elokecha lecha et habrit. Right, that's the continuation of the pasuk. You guarded these mitzvot, and Hashem guarded you. We should miss the pek bazeh. I thank you both for bringing these lights to the world.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Jack is blown away.
No words. Baruch Hashem.
It's all Rav Davidol, and you can actually find this chiddush on the Twitter, on his Twitter account. He posted the writings on Twitter.
Baruch Hashem. Oy, chavra. Yisrat Hashem. We should all be healthy, happy.
Guys, I know it's still recording, so we usually save these words for after, but I'm going to say them now. We should just forbear the rest of the night.
Really should. I mean, I know you're ready from the shirt. Your mom is ready. Chavra, we're just so lucky. Mom is so lucky. How lucky are we to get on?
Extremely.
On a Wednesday?
Feel super blessed.
We're so blessed. We're so blessed that Hashem gave us.
Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed. Hashem allowed us to go past the excuses, to go past what we were doing 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, a minute before it started. Said we need to be here and just connect. We listen to that voice. We listen to ourselves. So thank you, Hashem, for that. Thank you, Hashem, for just giving us this platform to just see Am Yisrael. To see Am Yisrael in all different places. One in Piezezna right now. One in the Beit HaMikdash. One in the Holy Land of Israel. So gewaldig. And thank you for giving us Zoom. So we're mamash able to see backgrounds. So we know that one's in Piezezna, we know that one's in Israel, we know that one's in the Beit HaMikdash. So Chevra, just be healthy, happy, and successful. Zrat Hashem, Samson, you should have a amazing, safe flight. Leora, you should be well. I'm not so sure what you should be well. Chevra will continue tomorrow night in the Kabbat Shabbos.